Thank you, Shane, for that warm and loving welcome. We feel the passion you have for Orange. Welcome to another episode, another slice of the good, the bad, and the orange. And today I'm outnumbered by Flagstonians. Is that what it would be? Flagstonians? No, Flagstaffians. We have with us Francesca Werz, our Long Island expert, and actually in the know on Flagstaff. And her hair looks fine.
Not really.
Look at the gray. Jay!
Don't look up here.
Don't look, yes. And the first of many appearances, we have Nikita Johnson. Nikita is a very articulate and, oh boy.
This is a great combination.
No pressure. Well, you were using big words earlier. I was going, don't use that word. But Nikita grew up in Flagstaff, right? And so she is an expert as well. So we thought we would talk about, everyone comes to Arizona, at least the starting point is they fly into Sky Harbor, or if they're flying into Mesa Gateway on one of those duct-taped up Legion Airlines jets. They come and it's hot, right? It's hot for, they come in July, August, September. It's like, oh, we're dying. What do we do? And we've talked in other podcasts about how Arizona is very, very diverse in its climates.
That was me, by the way.
Oh.
Coming over on the airplane. It's very hot.
Well, I figured
with my family.
I figured you drove out.
No.
In that bus that looks like Secret Service, actually. Grayed out and... So we get lots of questions when people move here about other areas. Yeah. Sometimes it's for their main home, but many times for that second home, that get away from the heat.
Yeah.
And I think one of our most famous places really is Flagstaff, a true college town. That may be one of its wraps in some ways for people, but it's a really vibrant community. I mean, with restaurants and youth and. But what do you guys? So you've got a place up there. You grew up there. So let's start with the growing up. What do you think is one of the biggest changes, even though you're not very old, that you've seen? From growing up to today. I mean, what do you think that is?
I've been gone a long time, and that has really, now when I go back to Flagstaff, it really is in some ways, unrecognizable in certain areas. And I was talking to my uncle last night, he's lived there for over 30 years, and I was asking him, what are sort of the high-level things about Flagstaff that you would want to talk about? And one of the things that he mentioned was that because Flagstaff is bound on all sides by national forest and other preserves, a lot of the growth that happens in Flagstaff happens from within as opposed to without. Here in Phoenix we can continue to sprawl, but there, watching an area that was a dirt lot now turn into, then there's a store, then there's then there's a whole complex,
And it's even going vertical.
Absolutely. And so watching the Butler corridor change, watching Milton change, it's really, honestly, sometimes I go back and I don't recognize it.
Well, that is so true about areas that redevelop, and a lot of times that's older communities. You'll see an old Phoenix. You go down to Arcadia, which 10 years ago was a bunch of little houses, maybe more or less, but now what are they? They're tear downs, and they're building these multi-million-dollar properties. And so if you had lived in Arcadia 20 years ago, and all of a sudden you came back, you'd go, we're not in Kansas anymore.
I mean, even when I bought in 2019, it was a little original bungalow amongst other little original bungalows.
Right.
And then that's just not the case anymore.
So did you attend school beyond in Flagstaff? Did you go to U of A?
I did not. Yeah, I actually went to Arizona State.
Oh. Okay, good. We're not going to show favoritism here to U of A or ASU. I mean, we love them all. NAU, yes. Thank you, Amanda, for correcting me. But how long did you live there before you moved? So when did you move out?
So I lived there from when I was 4 years old. I moved from Southern California until I was 18, and when I moved in to the dorms at ASU.
Okay.
I lived in Flagstaff. I went to school in Flagstaff. I really got to enjoy the area. There's some obviously a lot of outdoor stuff. And then,
Wasn't your mother a real estate icon up there?
my mother's not, but my aunt is.
Your aunt,
My
okay.
aunt is
I
real
was-
estate.
okay.
She's a big deal. Her name's Colleen, and she's a smart lady.
So actually, if you're looking at Flagstaff, we will use Colleen as a resource, but we have agents that would be happy to help you up there.
Yeah.
Just a side note, but anyhow. So that actually gives you even more insight than just living. So how long have you guys, Francesca, owned a place in Flagstaff?
So we moved here, as you know, in 2013 with my family, young family. And of course, I needed an escape immediately. And I had heard,
And you're so patient.
he's so patient. And actually, my friend went to college at NAU like 100 years ago. And it was used to be like a big film community. So that was like the first time I was introduced to that area, just from him saying, "Oh, I'm here for like film school," and I'm like, "Where?" He's like, "Yeah, it used to be like the film capital. It used to be Hollywood, basically, of the West." So
Hollywood was in the Hollywood of the West?
no, this was like pre-Hollywood.
Well,
So
John Wayne spent a lot of time out here.
I'll
Yes, I'm
forget.
sorry.
I have
Go
very
ahead,
short
go,
span
go,
here.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So
This is my life.
where was I? See, I forgot already. Okay, so yeah, so we moved here, and then I found Flagstaff. So we went up there, and I was in love because it smells so good and so fresh and cold, which I love. So we had been staying with a friend at in Pine Canyon, which is a golf community up there, one of the like two major golf communities. So we've been staying there for a bit, and then my in-laws, who had never even been up there, they've been snowbirding here for 30 years, and had never even gone to Flagstaff. I dragged them up there to see some property, and I was like, you have to, like, because they were thinking about leaving New York full-time, blah, blah, blah. So they came up and fell in love with the fact that they can get there in 2 hours, door to door. Forest Highlands, which is where they are now, has 2 golf courses. Beautiful community, obviously, surrounded by the forest on all ends. And so they settled there. They bought a house that they completely gutted and made it very kid-friendly. And so there we've been since, I guess that was 2015 that they purchased their home there. And we've been going up there literally every moment that I have free. We head up there for the October harvest, the winter, December we ski.
What are they harvesting up there?
Like pumpkins and whatnot, I don't know.
So you mentioned Pine Canyon and
Yes.
Forest Highlands. What are the other biggies
Yes,
up there?
there's a country
There's the
club or
Oakmont
something. Yeah.
area, Oakmont Country Club area.
And, yeah.
Flagstaff Ranch, right?
Right.
Yeah, and then
There's,
on Country Club Drive, there's one, I don't remember the name of it, but that's a public one
That's
also.
not great info.
Well, I'm just saying, it's a public one. I don't know
Oh,
public, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, it's a public one.
It's a public one, we don't.
We can tell she lives in Scottsdale. Oh, yes, we don't go to the
Well,
public
I'm
one.
just
kidding.
saying.
No, I know. I can't remember the name of it
I don't
either.
have first-hand experience there, but I can tell you all about Pine Canyon and Forest Highlands if you're interested.
Okay, I like that. So what are some other facts about the things of interest about Flagstaff? You were talking about the observatory, and we were talking about it's a dark community.
So Flagstaff is the first international dark sky city that was designated. It is actually a legislative designation that seeks to preserve the night sky to as much of an ability as they possibly can. So lots of, restrictions on the lights that can be used. Certain areas of town have more allowance for light, like the downtown district and the school. Whereas the further out you get, and we have 2 dark sky communities in Arizona. We have Flagstaff, which is obviously northern Arizona, and down here we have Fountain Hills. Fountain Hills is another international dark sky city, and they're really trying to keep the skies dark, not only for all of the wildlife, but also Flagstaff is home to Lowell Observatory on Mars Hill. It's Mars Hill and not Pluto Hill for reasons I don't know, because that's where they discovered Pluto.
I'm surprised it hasn't been renamed.
They should have. Well, and Pluto's now been demoted to a dwarf planet, so we just can't have anything nice. But yeah, so Flagstaff, if you get out there, particularly during the meteor shower, it's the Perseids, all of the different eclipses, that is really the place to be. To
Yeah,
see
so
some-
pretty up there.
Yeah, it's a really clear.
And you can
beautiful
see
skies.
all of the city down, lights, I mean, so pretty. at
Yeah,
night.
it's gorgeous.
So I didn't know that Fountain Hills was a dark
I didn't either.
sky city.
They're working on an observatory as well.
Oh,
wow.
interesting.
Yeah.
You're our astronomer. So I live up in very North Scottsdale, and I appreciate that we're in a neighborhood that has no uplighting,
Mhm.
and that is really it's unbelievable how nice that is. But when you get in those areas where it's truly everything is that,
Mhm.
there's no glow. I mean, it is. You can see the UFOs coming from Sedona.
Yeah,
You sure can. And Flagstaff, despite its small town charm and all of that, they're finally getting the thing that Flagstaff has wanted for a long, long time.
Costco?
In and out. They're getting in and
In and
out.
out.
It's
Oh.
got a flag.
Wow.
So you know what? You can have the pristine night sky, and you can have a burger like you would get down here.
And actually-
well, the whole town, I mean, you can attest to this, of course, more than I, but in the 8-9 years that I've been, making that my second home, the town itself has gone through like an incredible transformation in a good way. Like a lot of the old buildings getting revamped and dolled up. A lot of new dormitories have gone up for the NAU students that are gorgeous. A lot of new apartments, buildings that they just didn't have. They just didn't have the inventory at all. It wasn't even like a makeover. They just went full on up.
Mhm.
And they are gorgeous. Designing them really tastefully.
And they are
to-
going up. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah,
We
like
can
you
only go
talked
vertical,
about,
which I love.
Mhm.
So for me, the biggest like wow moment is every time I go up there, there's something else. There's a new shovel in the ground, a new sign going up. It's just absolutely amazing, and I love it because I think it really kind of looked run down, and this was only 8 years ago. It was kind of like,
Well, it used to have the rap of being a college town. Seriously, kind of a rundown college,
Yeah, but I mean,
But
we all went
that's
to
a lot-
college and have a college town. It was not like, this was kind of like, wow,
No,
what's
Flagstaff
going
had
on?
the ghetto in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
With
like
the view,
really-
it had
But
some
now it's-
Ghetto
educational
in the
stuff.
meadow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a Whole Foods there
Yes.
for crying out loud. You know what I mean?
It's
So
true,
like,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
OMG, Whole
yes,
Foods,
yes.
and In-N-Out.
And
I mean,
In-N-Out.
I'm just saying.
You can have it all.
Pretty soon we won't see Francesca here at all. She'll be up there. Both of you.
Francesca and I are going.
Where,
That's right.
where are they? Oh, they're at the In-N-Out Burger, and then they're going to.
Well, we have a very
Whole
nice
Foods.
office downtown there. Like, it's really cute inside. And the agents are super nice and friendly. So whenever I'm there, I pop in for sure.
And there's actually a new boutique hotel. My husband just helped to open. His company has just opened the High Country Motor Lodge.
Yes,
Oh, that's
yes,
Yeah.
I heard about
You can
that
go,
one.
You can have kind of a Nordic spa experience. They have the sauna and then the plunge pool. It's really gorgeously redone, and so that's right off of that's right. It's not
Route
on Milton,
66,
but yeah, it's
yeah.
on 66, and
So
it's
nice.
a great location, and it's got a great cocktail bar. It's really popular.
Yes.
So.
I'm telling you, it's really going through a great transformation.
I helped guide friends into Flagstaff Ranch, and I will say that my perception, we went downtown for breakfast. and
Uh-huh.
There's all these cool little mom and pop restaurants.
Yeah.
I mean, that just kind of a little hipster-like maybe, but just out of the park experience. And it's nice to see that kind of that
Mhm.
transformation. The buildings, like you said.
Yeah,
I think it's a great destination to go to too on the weekend. You go to the what you call it, the Motor Lodge, the
Yeah, High Country Motor
High
Lodge.
Country
Yeah.
Motor Lodge. Stay
But I
up there, have a staycation.
Yeah. The
And-
perception has been that way, right? Like how it was, but I don't think people realize how far it's come along
Yeah.
in such a short time. Like when they building things like as if, really, really quickly.
And of course it's for people that ski.
Yes,
Right.
it's awesome.
Flagstaff is that whole area. So do you guys ski? Either of you?
Yeah, I take my boys. I can't because the elevation makes me a little dizzy. I know, sounds crazy, but.
I've actually never been skiing.
Haven't you?
You lived here and never went
Oh,
skiing?
my.
Come
Get
on.
like my flag card revoked. I've never been skiing or snowboarding.
Oh my
or
God,
any of that.
scratch that from the
As
record,
they
because they
decide.
will revoke her card, for sure.
See, I have a need that forecasts the weather because I skied and shouldn't have. So yeah,
Well,
I
we
understand.
snowboard actually.
Do you?
So, actually on the golf course, don't tell, but we use that to practice. And then we head up to the mountain and they do their thing.
Deer greenskeepers.
Yeah.
Forest Highlands.
skiing.
Watch for.
See all those divots? Yes.
That's awesome.
Well, Flagstaff, of course, is also on the way to the Grand Canyon. If you've never been, it's amazing how many people I run into have never been to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Please tell me you've been to the Grand
I
Canyon.
have. I've been to the Grand Canyon. I've been to
Can
all
have
the
your
other
card
stuff.
back.
Okay, thank you.
But I think it's one of those places to explore, and like really, we've talked in other episodes about all the different climate ranges we have in Arizona. But one of the other things that I think is important to talk about is everyone thinks there are no lakes, or it's like pine trees. No one thought there'd be pine trees in Arizona. There are no lakes in Arizona, but there actually are literally hundreds of lakes, and they even have a top 20 list of lakes. I thought, wow, we got 20 top lakes in Arizona. Now, in Flagstaff, are there any lakes? Anything close?
There's Lake Mary.
Lake Mary, is it on the list? I think it is.
It
No?
might be on the list.
Why did you go like that?
It's not much of a list.
Well,
I can't take my boat there. Let's say it that way.
okay, just because
I don't
you
have a
got
boat, I'm just saying.
because you got a 45-foot cabin cruiser,
Well, listen, I struggled a long time with that here because
With your
I'm-
45-foot camera
No,
cruiser?
no. With being a beach baby and then coming here and was like, oh my God, like
Hey,
no
you-
water.
you
But
just-
just recently I found 2 awesome lakes very close by, and I rent the boats and I even drive the boat. Flip my kids around on the tube. I mean, it's
So
incredible.
tell us about the 2 lakes that you.
I don't know how it took me so long, first of all, to find this out.
I do, but go ahead.
But, so just this year, I found Saguaro Lake, am I saying that right?
Yep.
Like, I guess you go through Fountain Hills over there, I don't know
Yep.
exactly, don't ask, but.
Up the
over
beeline.
there, yeah. And that was a whole lot of fun. And then someone suggested, oh, if you like that, you should try Lake Pleasant or whatever, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So I go there, rent a boat, tube, 85 kids, best day ever.
And do you know what the capacity of the boat that you put 85 kids on is?
8.
So use the rule of 10, the factor of 10.
Yeah.
Well, Saguaro Lake is one of my favorites,
Yeah.
actually. They have a boat cruise, and
Yeah.
they usually have a little band on there, and it's a great way. What a beautiful, beautiful reservoir, right?
Yeah.
And so you boat around the lake.
Yes, and I drive, and it's awesome.
Well, if you're driving through Fountain Hills, you should pick me up next time.
Done.
And I'll go with you.
Done. Check.
Look what I have done.
Check.
I've created. Now neither.
But I'm driving.
Now neither of you will be working on the weekends. You'll be like, where are they? Oh, they're on the lake.
We're in
Oh, great.
Flagstaff.
Yeah. So other communities, though, too, we talked about. So Nikita and I just did helped an exec from Home Services purchase in Prescott Valley, and I think Northern Arizona, the perception of what Northern Arizona is goes beyond just Flagstaff. So our Central Arizona really is cool and piney and smells nice. And so there's so many different places that people can look at that are, that 2-hour rule I think is great. So
Yes.
like Flagstaff, Sedona.
And you drop 30 degrees.
Yeah,
in 2 hours.
Prescott Valley, Payson.
Yeah.
We have a place in Pine, and then you go up to Strawberry. We got the little empanada shop that's got these out of the park empanadas. Have you been there?
I haven't been to the empanada shop.
Oh,
I've
you
been
gotta
to
go.
that area for
You
sure.
gotta go. So other than that, what other things about the Northern Arizona what's a little tidbits? Growing up, what was your secret? Where did you go? Did you hike or hide or build a fort or?
Yeah,
I still do
obviously
that.
Oak Creek Canyon is one of those places that, all the kids have memories of growing up, running through the creek and collecting blackberries. But, then on the other hand of things, you have, which is less of a secret now, but things like Jerome, which, it's a really incredible place. It's a ghost town, and a lot of the businesses, or the buildings at least, are original to when it was a boom town. And it's up in the hills, and there's a great artist community there. There's wine. There's
hard to
music,
believe there's wine there.
There's wine.
Quite
country.
a bit of wine
Yeah,
there.
there's wine and good food.
Yeah,
and
that seems to be a
music.
common theme within our brokerage is, people that know a lot about wine,
I know
period.
nothing about wine.
Don't
I know
you?
they have it, but
Well, see, that's where it starts.
Right,
It's a
right.
gateway to
Right.
becoming a wino. Other than that, I guess Arizona is full of those best-kept secrets. But, we talked about Bartlett Lake, which for me is really close, and another place you can rent a boat. You can rent a boat up on Bartlett Lake.
Maybe that's where I was. I don't really know exactly. It was just up north somewhere.
If you want Francesca to be your tour guide, make sure you have your own
Listen,
map.
just make sure you have Waze. That's my life support
see,
system.
So,
I can't
and
get
of course, if
anywhere.
you drop out of service, what happens? Oh, I don't know where we
You
are.
pull
Wait.
over. That's what I
And do what?
Wait.
Just wait.
Just do this. You thought-
Francesca's taking people out showing today, and she's,
Oh, God, yes.
just gonna wait. Yeah.
Did I call Matt? I'm on the corner of Baseline. What the hell is it?
Oh, nothing more to be said. I guess any other things you guys like to share about?
Yeah, well, we see often on the moving to Arizona site,
Mm-hmm.
people are just like freaked out a little bit sometimes, especially if they're moving in July and August, and they're like, oh my God, is this what I signed up for? Like, I think it's important that we remember to share with them how amazing Arizona is because of all the different options you have. Oh, so you want to be 70 degrees all year long? Oh, well, we have that. Do you like it 85, 90, half of the year? Or, so we have so many different variations of great communities. And again, we have people coming from so many different places that miss the changing of the seasons and this and that. So it's important that we remind them that we really can offer all of that.
You can have 4 seasons in Arizona, and that's not just overseeding and golf season.
Correct.
It's more than that.
Correct.
Um,
Leaves changing and all that good stuff.
All that, yes, all that is fabulous. So with that, I think the one other thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about communities is there's a lot of different rules, regulations, practices when you go from community to community. And it's sometimes easy to just say one thing, one belief fits all. But if you look at Flagstaff to Prescott and Prescott to Payson and Payson to wherever else, the water issues can be different. The environmental issues, how things are done as far as we look at septic or sewer, and that's why having someone to guide you through that is ultimately very, very important.
And also, the communities all seem to have a different feel, so I've never been to Jerome because I'm disgustingly loyal to Flagstaff. But, hearing about the winery and I am interested.
Well, and Jerome is on the way. It's just
It's
a side. It's a side.
That's even
And
better.
then you go
Yay.
up to Argo Santi, up to the commune,
Oh my gosh.
and and take that in where they make the artist colony.
The bells.
Yeah.
Yep.
Main Street Cottonwood.
Yeah, Cottonwood. I mean, Old Town Whiskey Row in Prescott. Very cool. Very, good place to.
I'm out. Done this weekend.
Look at that.
Just plan my weekend.
All the liquor being planned. I think the last thing we'll talk a little bit about is our marketplace. The doomsdayers have us crashing, nationally that there's going to be some changes in other parts of the market. We previously, so it was the previous podcast to this one, which you will have heard before you hear us. We had some discussions with Tina Tambor of the Cromford Report, and something that I know we've talked about, but she really shed a lot of light on was, we have this Taiwan chip manufacturer coming into Arizona, and it's not just that business moving in, which is, what we understand is the baseline pay for jobs is in the 70,000 range. I mean, that's not the engineers, that's just baseline employees. But there are at least 20 other companies that are moving in to support them. So you start to think about the economic and housing impact of something like that. So yeah, we're in a little bit of a lull right now, like everybody. I mean, high interest rates will dampen part of the marketplace, but as soon as that goes back more towards normalcy in that 4 to 5% range, I'm firmly convinced we will see demand skyrocket again because there's so many people moving in. Intel's doing a big expansion. And the other point that she made that I thought that really stuck with me is she said, like New York and Chicago are old communities. Really what they're doing is working to maintain business. Their sprawl for them is hours. Yeah, it's either up or it's hours. Phoenix is, Arizona is only 110 years old as a state,
Yeah.
so it's really a young state.
Yeah.
And Phoenix as a major metropolitan area is young, and we have room to spread and sprawl and grow. And that all bodes well for business growth here long term. So while we're all feeling kind of the effects of policies that maybe aren't the brightest, I'll try to stop there. We're so resilient because of the foundational economics that we have in Arizona. So when they say, I don't know if it's a good time to buy a house, we'll say what we say all the time: marry the house, date the rate, because rates are going to come down. If we look at history, I can do a history lesson on the ebbs and flows of recessions that will tell you once it's declared a recession, when they can say the word, because they can't right now for some reason, we'll see a change in the markets, and rates typically usually drop very quickly, and we're going to see, there's a lot of pent up still demand on the sideline. So good time to think about your housing options, and rents aren't getting radically less. They've maintained at a very high level, so homeownership is a strong possibility.
Sorry. Well, I was just going to say, your family, you said you bought in 2015, 2014?
13.
13.
Yes, the
Flag.
house and flag, yes.
Okay. So particularly with Flagstaff, another thing that my uncle said was that when you're buying a home in a place like Flagstaff,
Yep.
you're buying, like what we do. We're not selling houses, we're selling lifestyles, and we're
Okay.
selling experiences, and we're
Mhm.
selling, you are buying something more than a house when you're buying that Flagstaff lifestyle.
That's right.
And you really have to do, like Francesca talked about, she maybe wouldn't live here if she didn't have access to that getaway. So
Mhm.
like when you're thinking about rates and you're thinking about the price, I'm sure they didn't feel great about the price they paid in 2015 until they looked at the price in 2021,
Well,
And that's the thing about Flagstaff is you pay, and people have always paid a little bit more to live in a place that is just truly that much.
And there's
More
still plenty
exceptional.
of good real estate to get there,
well, there is,
Very
but
fair
as you
pricing,
mentioned, it's
yeah.
surrounded by national forest.
Mhm.
So Flagstaff isn't going to be an ever expanding community.
No.
It's going to be fill in.
And it holds its value
Yeah,
differently.
right.
because there's limited supply.
Mhm.
So again, I think Flagstaff is a great option for people that need a second place.
That's
I
right.
know everyone goes, well, I can't afford a second place. You'd be surprised though, again, when I look at how people can leverage their way into things, or buy with a family,
Yeah.
or,
And
there's-
also, my discussion is often, well, where else are you going to put the money,
True.
right? So my in-laws were like, oh, we may sell it because we're not there as much, or like, the golf at this and my shoulder, I can't. And I'm like, okay, that'd be great, but where are you going to put that money? Everything's so volatile right now. The only security you have is that real estate that you can touch,
Yeah.
and you can use, and you can rent, and you can, do so many different things with it. Don't touch it.
Well, we've gotten a little bit away from real estate ultimately when you look at most of the wealth in America
Of course.
is held in real estate.
Yeah.
And
People forget that, though.
They do.
Yeah.
And so whether, like you said, whether you're putting it in your primary residence or you decide to invest that in a second property,
That's right.
that gives you a life experience, right? The kids, the grandkids, you
The
can
clean air, the
Yeah.
fresh clean air, the
The-
dark
And the
skies,
options to even make money from it. I mean,
Yeah.
you can rent it out. There's not enough rentals in Flagstaff. I know just from my community here in Scottsdale. They're always running up there to cool off, or want to go ski,
So
want the, the benefits really are endless.
I agree. Well, I think this will wrap up Flagstaff.
That's terrific.
I think you need to go skiing or
Yeah.
snowboarding.
Yes, I will help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Francesca, I think you have an outfit and shoes that go to the lodge where you have your children meet you if they're not brought in by the ski patrol. That's what I think.
Yes.
Is there some truth to that view?
That's-
A little bit?
Little
Okay. I'd like to thank you both for your contribution to the podcast and to our brokerage and to the community at large. Listen for this episode and all your favorites on your favorite podcast site. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Also look for this in video on YouTube. And remember, if you're looking for someone to help you close on your property after you've bought it with one of our great agents, remember to call Lawyers Title in Scottsdale, Arizona, and they will do a great job for you. Until next time, on the good, the bad, and the orange, we'll see you later. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.